Hi, I'm Heather Lancaster, Christian County Schools Communications and Community Education Director. Thank you for joining us for the Christian County Connect You TV series. Connect You TV shares with you discussion on important topics in education, shared by both internal and community experts. Topics shared by our experts will allow us to become better informed and involved in our children's education. We hope that this resource becomes valuable to you and your family, and we hope that you'll stay tuned for future episodes of Connect You as it relates to education right here in Christian County. Thank you for watching Connect You TV. Today we'll talk more about digital safety when using social media and cell phones. Today we have here with us Detective Bert Finley from the Hopkinsville Police Department and Tracy Pelletier, our District Technology Coordinator for Christian County Public Schools. Thank you both for being here with us today to talk more about this particular topic. We do certainly appreciate your willingness to share your expertise on this topic. So we know that technology today is very important. There's a lot of it. It's rapidly growing. It's used as a great way to stay in constant connection with family, friends, people in the workplace. What are some of the things that maybe you consider important for us to keep in mind when using social media, cell phones, and things of that method of communication?
Quick and easy. When in doubt, don't put it out.
Very good.
That probably gets more people in trouble than anything else, is disclosing way too much information. And particularly with younger people, they tend to not realize how much information they're revealing, especially on social media sites. And they also are, in a lot of respects, way too trusting, particularly when we're talking about specifically the media sites, for example, Kik, Ubu, Snapchat. Mm-hmm. They're pretty much anonymous. They're not very well documented in terms of verification of who you're actually speaking with. You can very easily get yourself into some serious trouble with those sites and with the people that haunt those sites.
Sure.
Well, you're creating a digital footprint for the rest of your life. And though as a student, you may start out young and you may do silly things like we've all done. But even if you try to delete them, erase them, they're permanently there. And students a lot of times don't understand, well, this doesn't mean anything to me. But years later, especially once they finish college or they're ready to look for a job, when their name's searched, I mean, anything pops up that you put out there, and and it can keep you from getting a job or bettering yourself, and they just need education on this, and this is what we're going to try to do through our school system, mm-hmm. because you can't make the assumption that they know, right, as a parent or as an educator. We have to teach them.
Sure, you're mm-hmm. right. One piece of information, a picture, could follow you for life, and we certainly don't want that haunting anybody.
Yes.
Tell me some ways that maybe parents can do a better job of monitoring their children's online social activity. Are there some tips that you have for parents to keep a closer eye on that?
And there again, don't make the assumption that they're doing the right thing. I mean, we all want to think that our children are following the rules. But I mean, the temptation's there to look and just out of curiosity. You should always have, if they have a desktop or a laptop or whatever, it needs to be in the room with you. Mm-hmm. And you have the right to go and look on that instrument at any time, including a phone. Don't feel like you're invading their privacy. You're their parent. It's your job to do this. Even when the children are still under 18 years old, it's your job as a parent to monitor and look on these devices and find out where they're going, what are they doing. Don't assume that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. I'm not saying all of us are corrupt or bad, but the curiosity is there, and it might get them into a bad situation. So you need to have, when they're actually saying they're working, doing their homework online, don't assume that they're going in their room and have them right there with you, or go in there and check, see what they're doing. Know that they know that you're going to check.
Sure.
It's also vitally important, I think, that parents know passwords, especially passwords and passcodes to computers, to laptops, to tablets, the iPads, things like that. And probably most important now is their cell phones. The other thing is, and this kind of sounds bad, but it's been my experience in several years of computer forensics, don't ever trust what your kid says when it comes to digital media. They will have a Facebook account, for example, and they will give mom the password to their Facebook account, and they'll put them on their friends list, and they'll talk to grandma and everybody else on that account. They don't tell them about the other account that they opened. The social media, like I said, there's no verification whatsoever within any of the social media platforms, and it's very, very easy to just go around it. Realistically, kids are generally more techno-savvy than their parents are. You have to educate yourself. If you look at that phone and you see an icon that says Kik or Uvu or Snapchat or any of the hundreds of others out there, and you don't know what it is, don't take your kid's word for it. Go online, look it up, see what the restrictions are, make sure you know what they're doing. The biggest problem is that a few years ago, as you were saying, it was all laptops and or desktops.
Right.
Desktops are almost gone the way of the cassette tape now. You just don't find that many of them except in office situations. And even laptops are becoming more and more rare. It's all either tablet or 90% of it now is cell phone. If you can control the password or make sure you can get into that cell phone and then do your homework. If you find that icon that you're not sure what it is, Google it, look it up online, see what that site is, what it does, and look for anything that just throws up a flag, like if there's no verification of age. If you can just randomly set up an account without anything other than just a made-up name and a made-up date of birth, that's a flag. You need to be very restrictive on those as much as a parent can. But the only way you're going to know is get past the fact that, you have the right to anything that, especially if you're paying the bill, you've got the right to look at it.
And they won't be happy about it.
Absolutely.
They will not. And they say, you don't trust me, this, that, and the other. It's not that. Is that you are protecting them, and it's your job as a parent to do that.
That's right. That's what it ultimately comes down to.
And the other issue I find with really young students now, like I'm talking preschool, even younger than that, they put a device in their hands and they don't put a time on it. I mean, they spend hours and hours upon this and do not develop any kind of interpersonal reaction or relations, and don't really know how to talk to others because they put a device in front of them. There's nothing wrong with learning how to say your ABCs with an iPad or an app or anything like that, but you need to limit their time. I mean, no more. It really should be no more minutes than their age. I mean, you think in 4-year-olds, 4 minutes, you think that's no time at all, but really, truly, they need to be interacting with others instead of a machine.
Sure, absolutely.
Exactly.
Great answers. Okay, in terms of consequences that students may face for inappropriate use of technologies, do you mind to go into detail of what maybe some of those consequences, maybe legal consequences, could be?
And this is where I spend my life. This is why we have an electronic crime unit. One of the aspects of it that we find most troublesome in law enforcement is, of course, the child predator, the child stalker, and child pornography. From a predator standpoint, as I was saying, the social media platforms, there's no verification you can set up. I do a lot of undercover chat stuff. I have got 4 or 5 different undercover accounts. You could go online and look at any one of them, and you would not know that it's an old fat cop sitting there on that screen. You also don't know that young hottie that you think you're talking to is not, some registered sex offender that lives the next city over or the next state over that can come and visit you. From a pornography point, nobody wants to think about child pornography. One of the things that I spend a lot of time talking to students, particularly in the middle schools and high schools about, is that, for example, if you take a naked picture of yourself and send it to somebody, if you're under 18 years of age, as soon as you take a naked picture of yourself, then your phone is in possession of child pornography by federal statutes and guidelines. If you send that naked picture, say, to your boyfriend because you're all in love, then, well, you've also now just distributed child pornography, and now he is in possession or she is in possession of child pornography. Those are felony offenses. Now, granted, when you're talking about a middle school age kid, they're typically not going to send somebody to a detention center over that. But what is likely to happen, first off, is they're going to wind up in court. You're going to have to go into court and tell everybody, including the judge and your parents, that you were sending naked pictures and that you had naked pictures on your phone, the judge will likely order that device confiscated. Something you mentioned a while ago, nothing ever really goes away, and especially on a cell phone. You can wipe a cell phone all day long, and I can still get it off, and so can other people with generally free down, applications that you can get online, free downloads, which means they're recoverable. That means that I can't give you that device back. That iPad that you've got that mom paid $600 or $800 for or more now belongs to the Hopkinsville Police Department, and it's going to wind up getting shredded. We're going to actually put it through a machine that shreds that device because we can't give it back to you. Then we would be in federal violation of distributing child pornography if we gave you that thing back. So that phone, you're not going to get it back. They need to understand that they can be charged with a very serious offense, and that's per offense. And in those rare occasions, although it's becoming more common, where we see actually taking video of themselves, federal law guidelines are generally used in most states, including Kentucky. And if I'm not mistaken, for every 5 frames of video, that's one count. So a 30-second video can be 100 counts of child pornography. As some folks have found out recently in some rather high-profile cases that have been around, what you think is funny is a felony offense.
Right. And not only that, but just because it's erased or deleted doesn't mean that it's erased or deleted.
As several people find out every day in my world.
And what I found out that students do, or children in general do, they want to send it out immediately to everyone else. So if you think you're just chatting to your boyfriend, it's usually not happening. It's usually they send it on out to others. And like I said, that footprint is made not only in the digital world, but other people are creating an image of what you are like, and that is very harmful to you. We've had people that commit suicide and things that should not even happen because of that stigma that's placed on you on something you did when you were very, very young and kind of silly and innocent and sometimes stupid. So if you don't want, if you haven't even the inkling to think that something's going to be out there and you would be horrified by it, don't send it, don't do it, don't even think about doing it. I mean, we live in a day and age that it's immediate communication about everything, but just take a moment and step back and think about it before you do it.
And something you said reminded me, which is another major problem, and we have this probably more in middle schools than anywhere else, cyberbullying. It's, the first defense is always, well, I was just playing. I didn't mean anything by it. As I've told more kids than I can imagine in these schools, there's no such thing as playing. If you put it out there online, somebody else sees it and somebody else gets hold of it and they join in, it ceases to be just playing when the other person don't think it's funny. That is in itself a violation of law. And there is specifically a subsection of the law on harassing communications that deals with students harassing or bullying other students through online media, through email, through any electronic means. And it doesn't have to be, for example, in the same school or the same grade. It can be a student from Christian County that's harassing or bullying a student at UHA, or at Hoptown bullying one at Heritage Christian, or vice versa. I mean, as long as the criteria are met, which is basically a communication that has no bearing other than to harass, annoy, or in some way intimidate the other person, then it is against the law. It is. You can be charged with it. You can lose your devices again. So
they must be aware that if they can send it out, we can track it. And we can get and find out who it is. Don't make the assumption, even if you did it under a false name. We can track the wireless internet connection, who owns that billing as far as the household, and then we can even get it further. Of course, we have to work with our agencies here, but just don't assume that you won't get caught, because you will. Right.
I have almost 100% success record. I know the last threats that were called into the public school system, we had within an hour.
Yes.
Yes, I can track them, and I can track them quickly.
Good. Well, thank you for clearing up those misconceptions. Tell me what the school system, Tracy, is doing to help students be proactive when using technology, not just technology owned by the district, but when they go home? What are some of the practices that you all are using as approaches to ensure that students are safe when using technology?
Well, in place prior to I took this position, this will be my third year in this position, but we have an acceptable user policy in place that parents must sign for any student under 18. But that just wasn't enough, and so Marty Parks from the Kentucky Department of Education, actually in the area KET, which is the technology division of it, created a digital driver's license that people are using all over the United States. I mean, we must really praise Kentucky. And so it's all free. And so one of the requirements I made this year, implemented this year, was that we had all new wireless system in the district. And so in order for you to access our wireless using their devices, they had to go through this digital driver's license.
Not just students, but teachers
and
as
teachers, Ms. Gimmel, all administrators. It started from the top because I'm finding out, most generations, all generations, don't understand the proper etiquette when being online, and that means the vices and the problems that occur with being online and how vulnerable you are even as an adult being online. So the digital driver's license covers many aspects, and one of the first ones is safety online, and it covers from the gamut of cyberbullying to actually predators that are online and what you can do to protect yourself. It covers password protection. And so what we've happened, we started out with the high school, and actually started out for the teachers and the administrators, and they had all did it before we started school last year. So once you've done it and it's in place, you don't have to do it again. And so you're granted access and to our wireless, which helps on your data plan. So then we pushed this out to students at the high school level, and we kind of did a contest. And we competed, had Christian County High School against Hopkinsville High School, and they competed about the number that they could get, and then I worked with the principals on giving them free time and some type of food, or kids love food. So then we've moved it to the middle school. At the end of last year, we had a competition between the 3 middle schools, and then my goal for next year is to do 4th, 5th, and 6th. And the 6th graders will be at the elementary next year. And so it was very difficult to actually put it into the content every day as far as reading, writing, all that. But when I made it a contest, which they can do this from home, and we sent out information to the parents. We actually did a call on it. You helped with that, Heather. And so I just really feel like we can't make the assumption they know, because they don't know. And so this is the way we're getting it out there, and hopefully that'll be helpful.
Great. Well, this has been wonderful information. I appreciate both of you for, again, just sharing this helpful information to our parents and anyone else who may be watching. Thank you for tuning in, and if you have any questions about digital safety or acceptable use of technology, please feel free to contact us. The credits will include our names and phone numbers and how we can get in contact with you. Thank you.